So welcome back to Beyond Quotas. Our series has been off the cuff, and we in the past were very refined with the way that we were approaching our way of our podcast, and some of the feedback that we've gotten from the last one, where we actually did the first time of what we call off the cuff, is laid back. It's not by no means professional mannered or very direct with our deliverable, but more so just very relaxed and very much more talking about stories and just kind of relating more to our audience. And a lot of people found that really fun, with our last episode. So I think that's really what we're going to be focusing on moving forward. And that's what we're doing today. And I know we got a couple of, let's just say, embarrassing stories that we dealt with in the past. And it's going to be exciting to kind of just touch base about how we went through those motions in that period of time, especially when we were in the trenches, right, back in those days. And I'm sure a lot of people have some embarrassing moments, so they might be able to relate, they might not. Or if not, you'll just find a chuckle in what we talk about, right? So what is one of your most embarrassing moments?
Well, mine, I can honestly tell you that I've got a lot of them. And to be honest with you, if you're not laughing at yourself, you're not really in the right business.
No, absolutely not.
But one of the things that I remember when I switched over to pharmaceutical sales way back when, and I remember thinking doctors they need things quick. They're on a run. You got about 30 seconds to kind of really pique their interest. Leave some samples behind, whatever the case. And I remember going to an office. It was actually in Paulding County in Georgia, and I remember walking. It was my first one, and I was pumped. I was ready to go. Like I kind of knew the product and inside and out. Or at least I thought I did. Didn't really prepare a whole lot because at the end of the day, it's 30 seconds. How much do you need to prepare? So I walked in, and I remember walking in and seeing the doctor for the first time. It's a sweet old man. I mean, it's still this day. It's probably the sweetest doctor I've ever met in my life. But he had his white lab coat and everything else, and just ready, polished and ready. And I remember walking up to him, and he's like, "Sir, how are you?" And I remember trying to speak, but nothing came out. Like literally froze. And what seemed like it was like a 15-minute episode.
Okay.
Just nothing came out. It's one of those just nothing. And it was the most embarrassing situation because, like I said, it may have been 5 seconds, but
Right.
what seemed like 15 minutes.
Forever, right.
And the first thing I wanted is like, dude, I got to get out of here.
Right.
I got to leave. Obviously, I got to go get some coffee. It's like, we got to prepare some more. Because honestly,
this pitch is over.
this is awful. And it was one, I was like, but what the funny thing was like I said, he was a sweet old man. So like he was feeding me so did you want to ask me for the for the product? Did you want to leave some samples?
He's trying to help you out.
Throw me because and I'm not fishing for a bone here. Like,
oh
look,
my God.
it's like, Doc, please.
Right.
And I mean, luckily, later on, I kind of caught wind, but it was one of those embarrassing moments because at the end of the day, like, no matter how long you've been in sales, that first sales call, after a while, it's nerve wracking.
No, of course.
And for me, to be honest with you, a lot of people have this, the gift of the gab. Like they can kind of, talk to a wall if they heard an echo.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that kind of guy. Like I like to be prepared and have those strategies ready. But I remember, like I said, it's one of those things that it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, you still get the butterflies, and sometimes the butterflies, kind of overtake you. But I still remember that. I mean, I literally remember the office and exactly where I stood, what I wore, everything. Like it's imprinted in my mind. But
I can imagine. And there's so many, like you said, of memories and episodes that you went through in your life. But for me, my mind becomes very fogged at those moments. I don't know if it's because I just say in a chamber in my mind, don't think about it, right? Or in reality, I don't have a long-term memory. I have just a short-term memory, so I can't remember many things from probably yesterday. You know what I mean? So probably not a good thing, but hey, it is what it is, you know. So maybe I need to look into some supplements for that. We talked about that earlier. So, but for me, I think it was those moments of you're going in prepared, and just things don't work out the way that they should.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that there was one day where I was I started with this company, and I might have been with them for, I don't know, say 3 months. And I did a lot of homework. Like I was one of those like young go-getters. Yeah, I'm going to totally, make sure I research this, and the solution is that, and I'm going to prepare. And I was doing it because there was like a big conference going on. And so the company that I worked for dealt with a lot of distributors. So I was going to be presenting in front of a lot of these distributors. And it was going to be probably like my second time presenting this specific presentation. Mm-hmm. So the first time around, I did it in front of like a customer. So it might have been like a handful of people. And it went well. And, I felt confident, So I go into this time, and it's probably, I don't know, 20 people. Now, mind you, that's 20 people, but it's one of those like conferences that it's workshops.
Sure.
So what happens is that, you'll have like a group of people from like a different distributor or a different, state, that they're at, and they come in, and then that they're there for an hour, then they're gone, then the next hour or whatever, and it's a rotating effect. Well, the first group that comes in, I'm prepared. I have my presentation. I'm like, I've already presented this. I have my PowerPoint up. I'm ready to go. I have my clicker, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I get in front of them.
Is key.
Is that
clicker?
Vital? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, without it, where are you going to be? You know, you have to push the button. So way. So I'm like, great. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I get up there, ready to present. What do you think happens? Nothing works. Nothing works.
Nightmare.
PowerPoint presentation doesn't want to go on. Nothing's showing on the screen. It's technical dilemma galore. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, so you get that frozen moment. You're like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I sit here and I just talk about life in general? Because you depend on that PowerPoint to kind of guide you on what you're going to talk about. So now all of a sudden, I'm trying to remember in my mind what slide started where, what did we talk about, what was the focus, what was the main goal of my presentation. I don't know. I can't remember because I was so focused on using that. So now all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm just like, all right, guys, and it was, the way that it broke was, it was probably 5 minutes of trying to play with every component possible technically to try to figure it out, trying to look at other people to blame at, even though I'm the young one and I'm the one that should have, taken care of all this beforehand. And of course, the icebreaker was like somebody just started, doing a slow clap. It's just like a golf clap, just like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it was like a moment of just breath, and everyone's just like, it happens to everyone, no problem. Everyone was really cool about it. And, they were just like, all right, well, it looks like you got some handouts. Why don't you pass that along? And thankfully we did that, and we just kind of went point by point. But that moment of not checking my stuff twice, right? So I was prepared. I did check the boxes, but I didn't check to make sure that everything was working at the time that I was going to present or prior to presenting. So, I kind of screwed up, and you learn from those mistakes. I'll tell you what, anytime I walk into a presentation, and if I'm going to be presenting and I go to a customer, let's just say, I make sure I go early so I can make sure everything's working right.
And that's the beautiful thing is, like, both of the stories, it's having those experiences, but kind of learning from those.
Yeah.
And like you said, as far as, one, preparation, obviously making sure that you're ready up and down. For me, like, it's obviously practicing over and over again to learning, where you can speak it without even thinking. Mm-hmm. But, with you, obviously, it's something, obviously, if you're doing the PowerPoint presentation, even if things work, 2 minutes into 2 minutes before, maybe they have a power outage or whatever the case, knowing everything with the backup situation, so we can have those handouts, we can know exactly what to do. And memorizing the stuff. So it's small things like that, and I think that's the beautiful thing about our kind of going back and forth and doing this off the cuff is having those experiences, knowing we've been through that stuff and can laugh at it, but we can also learn from it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, it's what's kind of cool about that whole experience, at least that I dealt with that day, was it was almost like a pinpoint, like you put like a pin in a map on Google or something like that. It was like a pin in my mind. I'll never forget that experience, nor will I ever forget to double check when I go into a presentation, because it's just something like that had affected me so much, and never wanted to do it again. So it was just a cool moment for that, right?
And another thing that I kind of got from both of our stories, and this is kind of a key point that I wanted to kind of point out. And a lot of times when something's embarrassing, we think that this person is going to remember it for forever, or they obviously think I'm doing stupid, whatever the case, like I'm not deserving, whatever. But a couple things. One, both the audience and both of our stories were sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
They understood. They kind of knew. They kind of fed us, some stuff. They even, clapped in your case.
Mm-hmm.
But also, most people I've learned over the years, they don't remember. Like you mentioned, obviously that you can't really remember, anything from last week. It's the same thing with most people. They got a lot of stuff going on. So remembering your last call, probably not.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I say that, because when I first started in sales, I'd mess up, and I'm never going back there. I can't go back there.
Yeah, you're like embarrassed.
Right. I'm not gonna walk in like, oh, here we go again. There's another one.
Yeah.
But now I've realized the fact that I can go there the next day because they're not going to remember.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to because I didn't fail as bad. Now there's some scenarios, obviously, you bombed. Maybe that's not a good strategy, but most of it
depends on how you bomb.
Yeah,
yeah.
Most of us we kind of overthink, and we think that oh my God, this is a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's fun about looking back and realizing it wasn't as bad as we thought, at least at the time. And kind of laughing at it.
Yeah, for me, one of the things here that was really something that kind of just, I said to myself, I can't imagine doing this again, is not only was I prepared, but I had practiced it, right? So I had done not only preparation of the presentation itself, but preparing myself. But I wasn't prepared. I didn't prepare myself because what I mean by that is that I walked in there only focused on what a tool could guide me to do, right? Rather than just me just being able to be fluid with the process. So if that happened, that experience happened to me again, am I prepared? And I would say no, because what am I doing? I'm going in there and I'm double checking that the technology is working, because I'm still relying on that. And what I've been doing is saying, no, I'm going to double check the technology because I still want this to be a guide rail to while I'm talking as a talking piece. But at the same time, really, if that happens, I know that I can just immediately just breeze through it. Like, all right, everyone, no worries. If there's a whiteboard around, I'll start going through that, right? Yeah. Or there's like an easel or something like that, or chalk, whatever. If there's something where I can write on, or if it's even me writing on a notebook and just showing people, at the end of the day, it's not allowing me to kind of get derailed, right? From that process. So that is something that definitely kind of helped me out to learn as well, because it's not only double checking, but also making sure that I can still stay fluid through it, right?
Sure. And obviously, that's a huge point. And I think those that are listening, just to make sure that we kind of re-emphasize what Gio's talking about here is, allowing the PowerPoint or the projection or, whatever the case, what you're using, allowing it to be, assist you as opposed to leading you.
Right.
A lot of us, unfortunately, we all call it like death by PowerPoint, but we use the PowerPoint as a crutch.
Yeah, exactly.
We read off the PowerPoint. We flip through, and you can even see TED Talks nowadays. They kind of put it up and they'll read it. Like, we can read.
Right.
We don't need that.
Right.
It needs to be focused on you. So the more you project, the less you rely on it. The more you can handle those situations where obviously that everything fails. And you don't really need it. Look, at the end of the day, you're going to listen to me anyway. We can give you the handouts later on, but the focus is on me anyway.
Well, yeah, think about it. If I'm reading a PowerPoint, am I listening to you? No, I'm reading the PowerPoint, right? So I'm reading now. Most often, best case scenario is that you have bullets that are just a couple words just to kind of elaborate about what that topic is or the speaking
Sure.
point. But if I'm reading a 2-sentence or a paragraph, that's it. I'm focused on reading that paragraph that'll take me a couple seconds. That couple seconds is lost of me listening to you talk, which might have been more vital or more informative than me reading that paragraph, right?
I agree.
So that is the case, man. But, well, I appreciate everyone's time. And I'll tell you what, we are recording this right before Christmas. So I want to tell everybody out there, because we're going to put this out after Christmas. Everyone loves the holidays because it's a way to spend time with family and with friends and just kind of almost get a chance to just re-engage and just almost, reestablish yourself for the new year. So we're recording this right during the holidays. So this is actually going to come out probably after the holidays, beginning of the year. So it's a way to just say to you right now, happy holidays again.
Yep.
Get excited, feel like you're all Christmassy and stuff like that again, because we're recording this at that time, but it'll be coming out after that. But it's been fun, man. It's been a fun year. It's been a great start to what we're doing here, and I just love this, and I hope that everyone's really loving what we're hearing. We're loving the feedback, right? We're loving the adjustments that we're making because of what we're hearing, and I think this is just even room for growth and room for even better deliverables that we're giving to everybody.
Yeah,
so.
and like I said, man, just like in sales and our personal lives, we're growing with this.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a new venture for us as far as the podcast goes. So you can definitely tell the difference between episode 1 and then this episode,
right?
So like I said, we're still continuing to grow, and at the end of the day, we're going to get better and better and better, and bring you more and more content, because that's what we want. We're going to provide the training for you, but we're also going to give you some stuff that you can actually work on, and that's our plan for the new year, is to start giving you those nuggets to provide the value, so you can actually take steps and putting those things into action, because at the end of the day, telling funny stories is good and great. We can, Gino can, kind of laugh at it, but at the end of the day, it's what's in it for you. We want to make sure that this time that that you've taken to listen to us is worth it for you.
Right.
So we want you to have something that you can actually take home with you. And that's our plan for the new year, is to give you those nuggets that you can put in place on a continual basis to get better. And obviously you can kind of go look at us as far as the training goes, and check us out online. So but yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate everyone. Thank you, sir.